He is the devil's own. And I hope and believe that he will rot in hell.
Serial killer Rodney Alcala sentenced to death today, and the victim's family certainly held nothing back. One of our contributors found the source of all of LA's problems. He blames it on the mayor. But not just the mayor's ego. You mean Antonio loves himself more than his city? Have you seen Erykah Badu's new music video? She's stripped naked walking down a public street. No permits, just walk along, even with kids in the background. But there's more. You'll never believe where she was. All the stories people are talking about and everything you need to know right now on The Filter. Hello again on The Filter. Forefront, our top four of the day, including who's got the biggest ego in town? But we'll start with this. He's a murderer who's avoided death twice. Now grieving family members hope 3 times a charm for convicted serial killer Rodney Alcala.
Rodney, I hope you don't sleep at night. I hope you have dreams of us coming after you.
I hate him for the pain that he caused me and so many other people. He is the devil's own. And I hope and believe that he will rot in hell.
In 1979, Rodney Alcala was arrested in connection with the killings of 4 women and 1 young girl. Twice he was sentenced to death. Twice those convictions were overturned. This time, DNA evidence helped convict him of each of the crimes. Our contributors tonight, the editor of award-winning WitnessLA.com, Celeste Fremon, and from RedCounty.com, Megan Barth. Our pictures are furnished by Skype. Megan, I'm going to start with you. This time around, do you think the death penalty will stick?
Well, goodness, I hope so, especially since it's based on DNA evidence. We have to take a really strong look here in California. We've only executed or enacted the death penalty in 13 cases. We've got hundreds of guys and gals sitting on death row right now, and we haven't done anything about it. It's a continual appeal system, and we need to make a state decision on whether or not the death penalty really is being enacted in the state. And if you look at the numbers, it's not. I think that, the poor family, my heart obviously goes out to all the families that were victims of this mass murderer. It took them 13 years to finally receive justice. And hopefully this death penalty case will stick unless the state makes a decision, a financial one at that, since our state is such in a financial hole, on whether or not to change the law or to uphold the law and actually go forward with the verdict.
All right, well, let's find out here. Celeste, being sentenced to death in this state, as Megan pointed out, is basically being sentenced to life without parole. Will he be executed?
I think we've got a trend going away from the death penalty, and with good reason. Rodney Alcala makes a great case for the death penalty. I mean, if you're going to have the death penalty, this is the guy you want. But our death row system right now costs us $137 million. If we moved people off of death row and gave them life without possibility of parole, that number would go down to 11.5.
Okay, well, wait, Celeste,
it's not a deterrent,
Celeste,
but it's not a
Celeste,
deterrent.
wait a minute.
Okay.
Well, if it's cheaper to move them, wouldn't it be cheaper just to execute them and not keep them sitting there?
Well, we have one teeny-weeny problem with that. Since 1973, we have had 133 people in 26 states who have been found factually innocent who are on death row. So we can't afford to just start knocking people off as a state.
Well, how long do you wait, though? I mean, and I don't want to execute somebody that's not guilty. Don't get me wrong. But how long do you wait?
Well, our appeals process takes a very long time, and it's very expensive. We are way better off doing away with the death penalty, quite frankly, unless we're just in it for vengeance. And is that really a good enough reason?
I'm not so sure the death penalty is just enacted for vengeance. Megan, I'll give you the last word if you want it. 10 seconds. Go ahead.
No, I don't agree with Celeste on that last part, and simply because it is the law. So are we going to enact the law, or are we going to put the law in lawyers' hands to keep being tried and tried and tried? You have DNA evidence now. And in the unfortunate case where 167 men, or whatever the number you used, were sitting on death row that were found innocent, well, thank God they were found innocent because of DNA evidence. Now we have DNA evidence that established this guy in multiple murders. He has now received the death penalty. The state either needs to make the decision, are they going to utilize the death penalty, which is our law, or are they going to utilize the courts?
I don't think anybody will agree here because we have to move on.
Yeah, good point.
If there was a time to use the death penalty, it's in this case. Okay, let's move on. You know, you got to respect somebody who is honest with their expense reports. Then again, you spent how much? For what? We told you about it yesterday. RNC Chairman Michael Steele spent thousands of dollars on private jets and hotel rooms. He spent $144,000 for rooms at the Four Seasons. Funny, that didn't catch anybody's eye, but this did. $2,000 at Voyeur, a West Hollywood nightclub where bondage and lesbian-themed acts are the norm, on his expense account. All done in the spirit of entertaining and raising money, and you'd need to raise money with the amount of money they've been spending. How much of a black eye is this for the Republican Party, Celeste?
You know, it's a black eye for the Republican Party, but here's the thing that's really interesting, Fred. The leaks that have been leaked to the press on this have been from conservatives to conservative publications like the Washington Times. So what does that tell you? It tells you that a lot of conservatives out there that are pretty mad at the Republican Party. This is not new news. The Republicans spending a bunch of money on expenses, not new news. Way back when I was a young and fresh and naive journalist, I went to Washington, D.C. right as the Reagan administration had just come in and found that Republicans were spending so much more on vice issues and clubs and, you know, nightclubs, escorts and all of that than the Democrats had in the previous 4 years.
Well, I don't know if that's
not new.
Wait a minute. I don't know if it's a badge of honor to say, well, the Republicans spent more on nightclubs and escorts than the Democrats. I don't think that's a badge of honor for anybody.
No, I don't think that's good either, but everyone now is shocked. This has been going on for a very long time, but the difference now is you've got conservatives who are mad at the Republican Party, and they're starting to leak this stuff.
All right, let's find out here.
I think we're still, I don't think anything's happening to Steele.
All right.
Not before November.
So let me jump in because we're going to get way over on time. Redcounty.com, Megan, that's your blog, that's your site. What are people saying?
That's right. And we actually broke the story on Eric Brown, and Chip Hanlon did a great job on that. Daily Caller first broke the story, and then Red County found that it was an Orange County story. Michael Steele has spent $110 million in the last year. In 2009, it was not an election year. You can bet your bottom dollar that conservatives are fed up. And when you're preaching fiscal responsibility, you better put the money where your mouth is and practice what you preach. Michael Steele would learn his lesson if he hasn't learned his lesson yet, he's learning it now. He's not popular with the figureheads in the GOP, with the majority leader in the Senate, with the minority leader, and he certainly isn't popular with conservatives and Republicans or the donor community.
All right, 5 seconds because we got to move on. Should he step down? Yes or no, Megan?
I think it would be wise.
Okay, let's move on.